Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Suddenly Tenno podcast, people. How are you guys doing today? Join me today is, as usual, Tactical Potato, Headshot, and Nesomeer, and we're going to be talking about more stuff for Warframe itself. Hi guys, how you guys all doing? Everyone's volumes okay? Oh, I just realized I'm an idiot that forgot to unmute myself. One second. Totally professional stream right here.
Sound resumed.
Hello guys.
Hey.
Alright, welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Suddenly Tenno. I was totally not talking to myself without unmuting myself for a couple of minutes earlier on, but you know it's okay. So again, welcome to the Suddenly Tenno podcast, guys. It's me, joined by Tactical Potato, Headshot, and Nesomeer, and we're gonna talk about Warframe, all things Warframe, and just kind of roll with it and see how it goes. Hi, guys.
Trish, can we have a proper intro now we're recording?
Yes.
Instead of just being like, by the way.
Yeah. So, as you may know already, well, not may know, you obviously do know them. Tactical Potato, Headshot, Nesomeer, and myself all are Warframe partnered streamers. Some are, Twitch streamers, some are YouTubers. And, we cover Warframe in different aspects and different, regards itself. But overall, we play Warframe and, we're very, very passionate about the game. And, we talk about things here, talking about different things for Warframe, how we can improve it, how, discussing some of the changes which come in and, just kind of take it forward from there itself. From the last podcast that we talked about, just a quick recap from what we talked about. We talked about the previous updates. We talked about what was good, what was bad, what was, the ugly aspects of it itself. And I think despite all of that, I know it ended up being a little case where it sounded a little bit more ranty, and I guess to an extent, I feel like we should have kind of been a bit more careful with how we did it. But at the same time, like I keep saying, we are fairly passionate people who play Warframe, and we want things to go, good for the game as well as for the community, etc. I'm sure these guys feel the exact same way as well when it comes to topics regarding Warframe. And, they would obviously like to see the game flourish and, continue to be a successful game that we can all play for, however long we end up playing the game for.
Yep, I'm very passionate as well.
Yeah. I'm a bit tired, but it's okay. It's okay. Just a quick update regarding the podcast itself. Originally, we were thinking about doing this on a 2-week rotation where we talk about Warframe and we talk about all that stuff. But the thing is, Warframe is the type of game right now, especially like where I don't want to end up filling it with random stuff or random fluff. I want to talk about stuff which is important. So because of that, we're going to keep it as a digest and talking about current and recent topics for Warframe, covering it on a monthly basis as opposed to, covering it on a 2-week basis itself. You know what? I should probably turn off TeamSpeak notifications.
Just done the same thing.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it. I'll just not. Yeah, there you go. It's okay. Just before we jump into the other aspects, let me just quickly talk about the EGX stuff. Me and Headshot were at I was at EGX, and then Headshot and me were at Tenno VIP. We met, the DE people, and it was quite an interesting thing to say at the least. When you play this game for so long and, you being a content creator and talking to people online is one thing. And I'm sure, John can attest to this as well, considering he went to TennoCon. Meeting developers in person is a completely different experience as compared to meeting or, talking to them online. And then, especially with Warframe, I could actually see the passion that they had for the game. Like the kind of work that they put into it, the kind of passion that goes into every aspect of the game itself, and seeing the love coming back from both the developers and the community at the same time. That's the kind of stuff which kind of interests me and kind of spurs me on as well on with why I play Warframe and why I cover Warframe. What do you guys think?
It was definitely good to meet everyone. You really got a sense of their energy. Like just having the conversations with all of the different community team during the night. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. We get to speak to Steve and to Rebecca. So you get very much a better idea of their personality rather than what you could perceive as their sort of online persona. But yeah, I had a fantastic time, and yeah, it was good. It was good to feel the energy from not only the devs, but the people that were there as well. So yeah, I had a great time.
Actually,
college student.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, I'm a broke college student, so didn't get to enjoy that.
I understand that. So here's my question to you, actually. Since you went to TennoCon, and TennoCon is so much more bigger than, Tenno VIP, what would you say would be a bit more different? Like, did you actually get to talk to the developers and, meet with them and do stuff there itself, John? Or was it a bit more like as a content creator as opposed to, as a fan of the game? Because the thing is, for me, when I went to Tenno VIP, because it was so much more smaller, it felt like it was more about, meeting the developers, meeting people and all that kind of stuff. And I got to meet the actual people itself. But I'm sure it must be a little bit more different when it came to TennoCon as well, right?
I don't know. Look, TennoCon was my first ever convention, so the whole fucking process was kind of alien to me in the first place. Like, just meeting people full stop was kind of fucking alien to me because I'm very antisocial. But with regards to meeting the developers, at TennoCon we kind of got, it wasn't really a VIP area. There was an area behind the convention center that was kind of curtained off, and there was free drink and all that sort of stuff. Non-alcoholic, of course. And back there was all the developers were sitting down back there, waiting to go out and do some of the shows on stage and meet people and sign stuff and all that. So there was times when, because I had the access to the VIP, I was able to go backstage and I was able to sit down, and I was at one stage I was sitting around a table on a couch that had Scott on it. I had Steve was there, Rebecca was there. It was just all telling stories and mentor more than anything else. It wasn't even about the game. It was about stuff that had happened to them on their way to the convention and a few days before that, and the fact that it hadn't rained for something like 3 weeks, and one guy was complaining that his grass had turned completely yellow, and it was kind of nice to see them all like that outside of what you kind of perceive them to be as developers. You kind of see them on the dev streams and you see them as being the guys who create Warframe, but at the same time they're human, and I think a lot of people forget that when we rant and kind of rage at them for not having stuff out in the game. You have to remember that they're trying to do a job and they're real people at the same time. So yeah, it was kind of nice. It was kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah,
sitting backstage and talking face to face with all of these people that you didn't really know and you'd never met before. And I'm pretty sure Steve stuck his finger up behind me when I was walking. I'm not sure he's very fond of me. But yeah, it was different, all right.
Yeah,
was that the first time you'd actually shown your face as well?
It was, yeah, which was kind of.
It's a hell of an experience, isn't it?
The one photo that I've seen been shared on the forums and that of me is probably the worst photo that was taken the whole weekend. I was squinting because the sun was in my eyes, and I was trying. There was this guy trying to hug me and take a photo, and I was like, really weird. I don't hug people, especially not dudes. So yeah, it was a very uncomfortable photo, and that's the one photo that everyone's looking at. So
yeah.
It was the first time I'd shown my face as well, and as soon as Rebecca was going around with a microphone asking people questions, and as soon as she found out who I was, she was stick a microphone in my face. I was just like, oh, okay.
Rebecca kind of blamed me for not telling her when Headshot actually showed up. I completely forgot I was supposed to tell her that Headshot's here, and I completely forgot. And I was like, of course, there he is. I'm telling you right now, he's over there. And she just kind of got a bit angry with me, but it's okay.
I got my own back though, didn't I?
Oh yeah, you did. He told me that Dean was Warren, and I'm saying to Dean, "Hi Warren, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Dean, by the way." I'm like, "You dickhead."
Shout out to Dean, by the way, who we had a 45-minute conversation with.
Yes,
he's such a super chill dude. You never get to talk to him normally.
The following day at TennoCon was probably the more enjoyable one for me, because I didn't have to sit down and sign fucking autographs or sign, which in the first place, sitting down and signing stuff as a YouTuber feels really stupid.
Yeah.
Because you're not a celebrity, you're just a dude who puts videos on the internet.
Yeah.
Sitting down at a table and signing stuff really fucking doesn't feel right. But the next day there was a convention thing, or not convention thing, a massive festival on in the town that we're in London, Ontario.
Yeah.
The Summerfest or something it was called. So we got to sit down and have a picnic with Rebecca and a few of the others for a few hours while there was music playing and all that. That was better, because I got to sit down and have a laugh with Zeno Alien and Hidden Redcoat and all those guys as well. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, that's a nice conversation about EGX and all, and, TennoCon. Let's move on to another topic, which I guess a lot of people felt passionately about. Not fashionately. What is going on with me today? I can't speak. Passionately.
True
there you
fashion
go.
frame.
So during one of the recent,
I can't wait for that passion frame.
oh god, I'm gonna have nightmares over this now. Anyway, during one of the recent dev streams, they talked about the carrier changes. Now I know this is a fairly volatile topic about carrier changes and universal vacuum, but we're gonna cover it anyway because it's a fairly important aspect of Warframe which affects us as players, new and old, quite evenly, I guess. The suggested changes originally what we saw on the dev stream was that they were going to make universal vacuum a thing, but they were going to split it up into 3 parts. One would be for ammo, one would be for mods, one would be for orbs and stuff like that. Obviously, people were not happy with this. There was a lot of backlash in the forums. There was a lot of rage in the Twitch chat. A lot of people were not happy with it because after playing with the carrier for nearly 3 years, maybe, about 3 years, 3.5 years or so, people were used to a Sentinel mod that would hoover up all the mods for you and collect them all for you, as opposed to having to run around picking it up. And considering that Warframe is a type of game which is a looter shooter, people would like to spend more time killing stuff as opposed to running around picking up resources. Obviously, there are certain mission types where people do choose some of the other stuff, but most of the time, even DE themselves said it as well when they did the whole analytics about which Sentinel is used the most, and it turned around to be carrier for the obvious reasons. Then the changes came around, and then they made it that it was going to be universal vacuum but with reduced range. More backlash because people were used to using a carrier with 12-meter range, and now all of a sudden it's half that, and picking up stuff is not it became much more of a chore, and people were used to being able to pick up stuff from a much bigger range, so there was more rage on that. And unfortunately, gamers can be very, very passionate about certain things. Sometimes they can be way too much passionate and take it a bit too far as well, as we saw from quite a few things. But, obviously feedback was given on the forums. Constructive feedback was listened to. Rage was ignored, which, as it should be anyway. And then after the feedback that was given, they basically changed it to what we have now, which is basically Universal Vacuum, a mod which you can equip on any Sentinel, allowing you to use whichever Sentinel you want to use. And it has like a 12-meter range, and it's just a mod now, so you have to equip it as a mod or like a precept now, which is kind of handy because I personally, while I like the carrier, especially because it has so much EHP, I wanted to use some of the other Sentinels. I'm sure maybe you guys feel the same way as well. Like, I personally like using the Jinn, especially after the changes which Glenn did to him. And, I just love the Jinn. It's such a handy Sentinel to have. I mean, HP aside, that's a different thing. Yes,
It's a paper bag.
I was going to get to that topic as well.
It's like an enemy goes, boo, and it just goes, fuck it, and blows up. It's just...
Yeah.
It's that kind of Sentinel. Look at him out.
See, that's the other issue which I basically had as well, which I wanted to bring up. Now, obviously, we've got carrier changes, we've got the vacuum changes, etc. But what do you guys actually feel about Sentinels itself? Like, what do you think their balance is good? What aspects would you prefer to change, John?
I think it would have been better, like if they have a little bit more survivability, because there's a certain level you get to with nearly every Sentinel, and when you get to that level, there's one round, whether it's a bombard or a grenade or something, and bang, that's that Sentinel gone. With a Kubro you can revive it, with a Kavat you can revive it, with a Sentinel you get maybe one extra chance, and then after that it's gone. You're not going to have it the rest of the mission. So with regards to Carrier, and the Carrier's probably more powerful now than he was because he has the ammo mutation thing. So it's kind of completely opposite of what they wanted. With regards to vacuum, 80% of the community used Carrier because of vacuum, and they decided to fucking remove it. So I can understand why people got annoyed in a loot heavy game where you want to gather as many resources as possible and not have to grind and grind and grind. You want to reduce that grind, which means the vacuum is going to do that for you. It's going to help you not miss out on any resources that you might if you don't have Carrier. So for them to reduce it to the 60, was it 75%? I think it was. Someone done the math, and it was actually a 75% nerf in actual range. Yeah. Whether that was right or not, I don't know. So for them to do that felt like a real kick in the nuts. especially like I said in a loot heavy game. But yeah,
Like, to be honest,
more
the core
survivability
combat,
for Sentinels.
like the core combat of Warframe is really fun. It's fast paced. There's a lot of shooting going on. You don't really want to have to worry about trying to pick up every single nanospore that's on the floor. So having your Sentinel do it is fair enough. But for me, the survivability is it's backwards. The Kubros, Kavats have insane survivability, but you can also revive them. Whereas the Sentinels have no survivability whatsoever, but they're dead for the rest of the mission. Surely the ones that are revivable should have less HP than the ones that are dead for the rest of the mission. It doesn't actually make sense. It's backwards for me. I love the Jinn. It's a really good, really good Sentinel. I like the abilities on it. But I honestly don't think once people have started or have finished testing out all of the Sentinels, I think most are going to go back to Carrier Prime because of the survivability, because no one wants a Sentinel that's going to die after 5 seconds. A single Scorch comes along and it's like, well, I'm out. And nobody wants that. You've just lost everything. And especially with the Jinn being tied to this new melee weapon, the Gazelle Machete. And if you want to use a melee-based frame rather than a crowd control-based frame, you're going to lose the Jinn very, very quickly. And your special ability for your weapon is gone. It's back to being a machete again. I just... I don't get it. Like I honestly think the HP is actually backwards right now. I think the Sentinel should have more than the Kubros, because once they're dead, they're dead.
What I'd like to see is them having more shields actually, and having a mod like similar to, was it Pack Leader, where you melee stuff and it heals the Kubros or the Kavits. Something like that, but for shields towards the Sentinels. I mean, it would make kind of sense because they're constructs and all this, so they rely on shields and more health. Something like that would really increase their survivability. I would like to see something like that in the game.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think having a shield mod for Sentinels will actually make more sense than HP, since, like you said, constructs. So, them kind of leeching HP doesn't really make sense in the same way as it does for, like, the Kubros or the Kavats or whatever. But it also basically means, as opposed to buffing HP, give them bigger shield tanks, because shield obviously regenerates and, you can go down this and that. But it just means it'll be a little bit more tanky than it already is. Case in point, I did an endurance run recently with Dimitri, De Facto, and Ice, like clan members. And I think I was using a Jinn there, and I had no attack precepts, because I don't use attack precepts. I only use it for the stun or whatever utility the Sentinel I'm using at the time has. And that Sentinel died within 15 minutes on a Grenier survival mission, versus just because of Napalms. Napalm's AoE attack just destroyed that poor Sentinel. It didn't even last whatsoever. And, what kind of survivability is that? It's going to be there for CC, but it doesn't even do anything. And I know I'm doing an endurance run, but within the endurance run, we hadn't even gone to level 100. Enemies weren't even level 100, and that Sentinel died so quick. So, of course, definitely have some more survivability would definitely be a big, factor for me making sure that I use Sentinels a bit more. Because I rarely use Kubros, because one, I don't like the Kubros AI. I find the Kubro attack AI and the way they work is very, very silly. Secondly, the only Kubro I do use is the Huras, and that's also very very rare and only in raids. Kavats, on the other hand, full utility, I do tend to use them. I use the Sameter quite a bit, and I know a lot of people use it as well, so it's kind of like an interchangeable thing. So you either use Kavats or you use, whatever Sentinel you want to use for resource farming and stuff like that.
I will say though, I still would like the initial vacuum with the nerf range. I'd like that on Kavits and Kubros, so I don't have to ever use a Sentinel, because I will never use a Sentinel.
The thing is, a lot of the community was saying that they didn't actually want the universal vacuum on a Sentinel or even on a Kavat or a Kubro. They wanted it on an actual frame, like our frames to have this. But what's the frames pick up at the minute? Is it 4 meter range, is it, or 3 meter range for frames to pick up loot when they get close to it, or something? It's pretty close anyway. But a lot of people argued that they wanted it on an actual Warframe and not on a Sentinel and not on a Kubro or Kavat. So why? This goes back to anything I've always said when they change stuff. There always has to be a negative side when they change anything. They could never just turn around and say, look, right, the community's a bit annoyed right now. Everyone's kind of pissed off. There's no update. Let's just give them this one. Let's just give them all of this stuff onto the actual Warframe, or give them the universal vacuum without any downside, without it being a mod, without it being reduced to 6 meters. Just give them the universal vacuum. And I think maybe that's where a lot of people got incredibly annoyed, is that they had to stick in a stipulation. They had to stick in something negative. It couldn't just be, there you go, you wanted that universal vacuum, there you have it, be fucking happy, you know. But instead they said, no, but we're going to do this to it instead, or we're going to do this to it, we're going to make it a mod, or we're going to reduce the range, and we're not going to put it onto your frame. So you can see where the kind of rage came from. So
yeah, see, from
at the same time, a lot of it was kind of unacceptable.
From a developer standpoint, I can kind of understand. Well, I can't understand why they added negatives, obviously, on that, but I can understand why they didn't put it on Warframes. Was basically because they would have to either rework Carrier to give him some point in the game and rework Mag's passive. It's just more work for them, but they definitely handled it pretty badly.
I think, okay, from a developer perspective, I can kind of see why they did it. Now, Warframe has been making a lot of changes recently, which is to promote active play as opposed to being able to AFK farm stuff. So I'm guessing that they had some sort of, idea behind the changes to prevent AFK farming. That's probably going to be one of the reasons why they did what they did. Like, that's probably going to be at the back of their mind. I mean, look at all the Warframe changes that have come recently. You have the Siren changes, which was like you press 4 to win. That's been changed. Ash is being changed, although it's still kind of press 4 to win, but it's a bit more interactive, I suppose. There are other frames which are also heavily reliant or being changed, where you don't just press one button and you kill everything or whatever, but but at the same time, there are other frames which can do that as well at the same time. But I guess it's probably the concern at the back of their mind that they don't want people to play and farm everything without actually playing. I'm guessing that's just a personal speculation thing, why they probably did what they did. But at the same time, they did the changes which ended up punishing the people who play legit, and that's obviously a problem as well. So it's case of balancing and listening to feedback and trying to find the right balance between it. Like, I was reading something which Rebecca posted on Twitter a while back when she was at this I think it was like a workshop by Steam, and the guy who did the presentation said something about that in the games industry there can never actually be true balance, which to an extent I kind of agree. It's very hard to find the right kind of balance, and sometimes I would even go so far to say that it's nigh impossible to find the right kind of balance. It's just one of those things. But I think Sentinels, and of course another point I want to make is, like, they did mention on the dev stream that they might consider cats and dogs possibly getting a vacuum as well, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens regarding that. I think what you said, Mac, what were you saying about cats and dogs, about their range? Say that again, please.
Oh, like, that nerf vacuum we had with, like, the 75% nerf? If they added that to Cavets or Kubros, that'd be nice, because that Kubro that loots your stuff, he doesn't attack anything because he's busy running around. He's fucking useless.
Yeah, pretty
most
much.
Kubers are fucking useless. If I'd have got their head stuck in a stairway or in a railing or fucking somewhere, you look around and you don't know where they are, dead. Sometimes they die and you don't even know. Nothing comes up on the screen. The game doesn't care that much about them. It's like, yeah, just fucking forget about him. He's gone.
Yeah.
That kind of happens a lot with a lot of people playing as well. Like, they just die and I'm like, wait, you were dead? What the hell happened?
Like, if you remember a couple of dev streams ago, they talked about shield gating. Like, would you reckon that might be an interesting thing to introduce, maybe initially on Sentinels, to test that out? Like, to stop the complete one-shots?
That's actually a good idea, actually. Shield gating might be a better idea for Sentinels. I mean, it would be nice to have on, Warframes as well, but that's a different topic. But on the topic of Sentinels...
It could be a test, though, couldn't it? Like, I mean, if you test it on the Sentinels rather than on people's frames.
Yeah. I think shield gating probably is going to be a better mechanic for Warframe. I mean, I'm not going to skim too much about the new event itself, but when you look at scaling, when you look at how Warframe scaling happens, how enemies one-shot, the amount of cheesy enemies you've got and the cheesy Warframes, etc., all of that, when you combine all of it together, you just look at it and you would think shield gating would be a perfect mechanic to fit into Warframe to give people that, oh shit, I'm about to die, but I better be careful now kind of mentality while they're playing the game. But at the same time, it's I think it would be a good idea, to be honest, for Warframe.
For those that are asking in the chat about what shield gating is effectively if you have shields. Like, they weren't entirely sure on how the mechanics was going to be, but it would effectively deplete your shields to like one shield or something. So as long as you had shields, you would never be one shot sort of thing. The shield would absorb the shot.
You kind of like a quick thinking version for shields, would it?
Yeah, effectively.
I think that would definitely be a very good idea about implementing it. At least for Sentinels, I think it would be a good way of giving them more survivability as well at the same
They could
time.
wrap them up in foam for all I care. Once the fuckers can stay alive past level 40, it'd be a great thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
sorry.
that mod is, suggesting kind of like how the Kubros have the health thing and the shields for Sentinels, that plus shield gating would just up their survivability a shit ton. It'd be great.
How about I'd actually wouldn't mind to see a mod either that would, like, I think someone in one of my comments called it nanite repair. So over time it would effectively regenerate itself. So maybe like 5 minutes or something, you would be without a sentinel for 5 minutes and it would regenerate or something like that.
Hmm.
Then I get one shot again.
Yes.
You'd be at level.
I guess that's
enemies,
the thing.
And you'd go, yes, carrier's back. Never mind, he's gone.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
But I mean, it would be. I mean, if you're at a lower level, and because like even if you're on salty one, like a single scorch coming along will just one shot your sentinel, like no matter what it is, pretty much. So, and then the rest of the enemies would barely touch it. So it could be a thing that it's like, okay, you've run into a scorch and he's killed your sentinel, but you might not see another scorch for 10 minutes. So it might regenerate and you get another 5 minutes use out of it or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually have regen, because the problem with regen right now is, again, scorch example, if the scorch is using a continuous fire weapon like an Ignis, he's firing a lot of damage at once, the sentinel's regen kicks in immediately, and then it just goes all the way through that too, which is not particularly helpful.
Well, see, Parrish, we shouldn't have required mods. We should have an option to choose from. So I think it's a better idea to give him more, so you actually have to choose between all that stuff. You want to keep it survivable, or you want to just have something to help you out completely? We should have choices.
A lot
There
of
shouldn't be
those
a pure
mods,
best.
a lot of those mods that we've been getting are kind of band-aid fixes for the way Sentinels probably should have been from the get-go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
I
in regards to
wouldn't say all of those were required mods either. Meta-Ray is definitely not required. Neither's Guardian or Animal Instinct. Like you could get away with doing something else. Like they're not required. Obviously, health armor shields are probably going to be, and regen. Like, but other than that, everything's kind of like I honestly don't think there is enough choice in Sentinels right now. Like there's still basically one build for every Sentinel.
I mean, if you think about it, Warframe kind of advertises itself as an MMO. It's not an MMORPG in the same sense as fucking WoW or whatever the game you would recommend or suggest.
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty. Don't even start chatting shit about that. That game is amazing. I played it. The expansion, you should try it out. Star Stable as well. Anyway, let's not get off track. The point is, I forgot what the point was.
You just heard Hello Kitty and it brought back all those memories.
I honestly forgot the point. Okay, it's something to do with things. All right, let's. If I remember it, if I remember it, I'll come back to it. If I remember it, I'll come back to it. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next topic. Fuck's sake. All right, so the next topic I want to talk about is the new TennoGen items. Obviously, as TennoGen keeps going on, they have I guess I won't call it seasons, but it's the best word I can think of right now to describe how it kind of works. Where it shows DE chooses items from the TennoGen pool, and to be honest, as the content creators have been working and building, different models or different, helmets or Danas and all that kind of stuff. The quality of all this stuff has just been improving substantially. Some of the stuff which have been posted, it's been absolutely phenomenal. But at the same time, I think the last season or the last batch of stuff that came in was one of the best stuff that came in, which had the Nyx skin, the Valkyrie skin, the Mirage helmet, and all that kind of stuff. The new one, I like some of the stuff, but at the same time, I don't. And I guess that's just kind of like a personal preference thing. But there is no denying.
Last night?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like any of them.
Yeah, like I said, that comes down to a bit of a personal preference kind of thing. Some people said to me they love them. Other people said they hate them. And, I get that. But there is no denying that the quality of the work that people are making, like in terms of the models, the textures, the design elements that incorporate Warframe themes into it, has definitely been there, and it's just been improving. I mean, is there anything on the TennoGen thing which has actually caught your eyes, Headshot?
What, of the new stuff or just in general?
In general.
Like I've got the Nyx skin, the Athena skin, and that is incredible. I love that skin.
Yeah,
so
but you
much.
made Nyx.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I want a
Yes.
fucking chroma one, and I get one that looks like he's got a bloody skin condition.
Yes. It kind of looks like your Chroma has eczema.
Yeah, he looks like he's got fucking eczema.
Yeah, it's bit.
From the
The
new
Warframe is
stuff, I
coming
like
as well.
that Voltara Sandana, the Daru Sandana, and I like that new Atlas helmet, actually. The one that makes him look like a Zenyatta.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Atlas one is nice. The Wukong helmet is nice. That Corpus Sandana, I fucking hate it. I think it looks hideous.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Dorito, a metal Dorito.
Yeah.
I've never liked the Corpus. Like I've never
Yeah.
liked those Corpus things. I
Metal
just
Dorito.
don't. I think they just look weird.
Look, but at the same time, like Frozen said, TennoGen stuff, or maybe he didn't say it. TennoGen stuff costs real money, so it's not really content
Yes.
to an extent. If you don't have $5 to spend on a vanity item of a game, then you're not going to spend it. So it's not actual content. So I don't see how it can be actually pushed as actual content, because it's not.
Yes.
I would love it if they. I know which console was it. They were gonna add it there for plat. If we could buy it for plat, I would be so much happier, because I have all this plat, but I don't have real monies because I'm a broke
Yes.
college student.
Unfortunately, they can't for PC because of the agreement with Steam.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where the problems come in.
And that
But
is
then why can't
personally.
they develop skins that look as good as these ones for us then?
Yeah.
I mean,
You know?
we do have the
Hire-
Ash
hire
deluxe
some of
skin
those
coming,
guys.
which does look awesome. I love that look of that Ash
yeah,
deluxe skin.
the Ash one looks good, and if the Chroma concept turns out looking like it does, then it will look fucking incredible as well. So will the Frost one.
Oh my god.
The deluxe skins for Chroma and Frost will look incredible.
I'll be honest. Sorry, go on.
But let's be honest, some of the other ones that came out, the Nova deluxe skin is freaking hideous.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I really
like part of
hate
it.
that one.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Nova one.
The
I'll be
skin
honest
itself
though.
isn't too bad, but the helmet's fucking.
Yeah. The Chroma one and the Frost one, I absolutely love them. The idea that the Frost is going to become like a barbarian kind of theme, and then the Chroma is like one of those Chinese dragons from, like the Chinese New Year festivals, it's like that, and it looks absolutely amazing, like that concept. And the thing is, if they end up making it look exactly like that concept, I am buying that shit first on. Like, I would recommend people to get it because it looks so good. And especially with both of them, the Frost and the Chroma one, they look so good. I absolutely love them.
Which one was it? It was the Banshee concept art. If you look at the Banshee deluxe skin of the concept art, on her right hand, the up around the elbow area is this huge kind of fucking jagged claw looking fucking bit,
Yeah.
and it looked incredible. And instead, we got a CD player.
Yeah. Yes,
Like,
yes.
that's not even like where did that come from? It was like, oh, we can't really make that jagged bit, so CD player. Let's just stick a CD player in there instead. Like, it's literally no fucking logic.
I can't wait for the Frost one. I'm just going to role play the Black Knight and just run around going, "'Tis but a scratch."
That's amazing. But yeah, I think
just typing that in chat. Like as soon as I go down, just type in "'Tis but a scratch."
I'm just thinking about like the TennoGen thing, what you just mentioned. The problem with TennoGen for me is a little bit about the price. Now, those are, if you look at it just for a Sindana, just for a helmet, just for a skin or a bundle or whatever, £5 is a lot of money. It's not something which I can afford, and there's not a lot of people can afford as well, unless, they have a lot of money through whatever job they're doing or whatever. And that's not a lot of people. You must remember that the people who play this game tend to be a lot of students as well. They tend to be people who are at school, or they're, getting ready to pay for their mortgage or their kids or something or the other. Yeah, and there's that too.
That's why people are playing it, because it's fucking free.
Yes, exactly. And the whole allure of Warframe is it's a free game. So when you have something which is that expensive, I mean, if it was like £1, maybe £2, I would consider getting, like the skin. But £4 or £5 is a lot of money for me. And I can't justify it. Even though sometimes I really do want to justify it. And I argue with myself, for an entire day before I decide that, I'm going to hate myself for the day and buy the skin anyway. And decide to live on air for the next day because, it's so expensive. But, I still end up doing it. But yeah. I think there was one idea, like, it was brought up, I think it was in the clan a while back. Do you guys remember the first set of TennoGen stuff that first came up when they did a competition?
Yeah, the Act Magnus had
Yes,
skins, I think.
yes.
And,
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember how that was implemented? It was put into the game directly, and anyone who bought it for platinum got a direct, in cash, a platinum injection, like a percentage of the platinum injection that goes straight to the content creators. If they could do that with certain skins or certain parts here and there, so, to kind of bypass the idea that this thing is only limited to money because of Steam's arrangement or whatever, I think that might be actually a pretty good thing as well. Something to consider.
I wish that if they're going to carry on with the TennoGen thing, that they would develop their own thing, so they wouldn't have to rely on Steam. That way, they could put it out for plat. They wouldn't have to be. They could probably drop the prices, because the prices are only that high because they've got to pay Valve a percentage.
Yes.
So the price has to go up, so both sides are actually making a reasonable amount. So if they would develop their own thing, which it's time, people, whatever. But it looks like they want this to be a massive, major thing that they're going to be supporting for a long time. So it seems crazy not to consider actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about TennoGen?
No.
Okay. All right. In that case, well, let's move on to the next topic. Sorry, what were you saying, Mac?
Oh, just wish I could afford them as well.
Yes. That is a sentiment which a lot of people share.
Dem feels.
Yes, dem feels indeed.
What if TennoGen stuff became tradable? Nah, that would never happen.
That would definitely.
You literally couldn't do that, because the reason it's TennoGen is to support the guys that actually make it as well. So.
Yeah. All right. So another fairly big topic, and I know a lot of people have strong feelings about this, including ourselves. But it's a topic which we need to talk about because it's close to Warframe, and it's part of some of the big stuff anyway. War Within and the repeated delays that have been coming with it. At this point, I think it's the war within ourselves, within the community, between deciding when the update's actually going to come, as opposed to the update itself. It's okay. I'm gonna be honest and just lay it out as it is. Last update came out last year, like the major update, the cinematic quest. It's gonna be close to a year now, and the way things are going, I'm thinking like it was supposed to come out around June, July time, and then it got delayed, and then it got delayed, then it got delayed, then it got split up, then it got split up even further, and now it's been split up yet again, and the updates keep getting delayed. I know DE did acknowledge the whole delay aspect about, the update being pushed back so far and, it taking so long for the update to actually come out. But at the same time, it's a big issue for a lot of people, including, I guess, mostly veteran players and even us as content creators, because it affects us so much. Warframe is not the type of game that can really afford to go that long without major content coming out. What we define as major content obviously varies from person to person. For me, it's about something which keeps my attention to playing games. Other people, it might be raids. Other people, it might be PvP. So it depends. But the point is, we don't really have that thing that holds the attention of veteran players right now. DE did say that they acknowledged these delays and they did apologize, and, fair play to them, which they did. It was one of those things that it was going to happen at some point anyway, which, they would have to realize that it happened. But before I say anything else, what are your guys' topics about this? Mac, lead us off.
Well, the question is, what you consider as content. I mean, majority of the things we get is just new weapons, new skins, and possibly some reworks. That's not content for me. Like, I'm going to reiterate that they really need to iron out their mechanics in the game so they can actually add some, challenging content, something for veterans to do. It would make it easier for them to add something else. Aside from the big cinematic quests, all the big changes they do, they can add in, like, I don't know, time-limited events and maybe stuff that, a contest, like the survival things they mentioned about the Void. They mentioned that a while back, but that was a good idea, but they could do more stuff like that. Or just add more enemies, because they actually worked out everything. Could put in more interesting mechanics, make some proper bosses without invulnerability time. Stuff like that would be really nice for the game. It would really help with the burnout. Yeah, that's about all I gotta say about the thing.
Headshot?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. No, everyone's frustrated at this point. Like you say, even if you look at this mini event we've got, the mini event is going to finish on the 27th. which is next week. And that means that since we're supposed to have the Index as a main event between now and the War Within, you're looking at probably mid to late November. And that is about a year since the second Dream dropped. And I saw someone mentioning like all the bits and pieces and say, oh, this is the, you know, the biggest split update we've ever had and all this stuff. Well, it should be. It's been a year. I'm sorry, but at this point, they like my worry is that they're setting themselves up for failure, because they've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it and hyped it and asked us to hype it, and we got backlash when it got pushed again just after we got to hype it. But if it doesn't meet standards, if it doesn't live up to the hype, then everyone's going to be sat there thinking, well, great, that was a nice use of 12 months. And it kind of worries me how that is actually going to affect them. And like, I know there's not a lot they can do about it at this point apart from get it done. But it's just, I don't know, as long as they've got to learn lessons from this. They've got to learn lessons from this last year and make sure they don't repeat it. Because this is, it's a tough time for pretty much everybody right now.
All right, John,
Look,
what were you going to say?
I think, like Headshot said, the fact that if this is the preview to this event and the War Within isn't going to come out until after this actual event, like not the preview, then the actual Index event won't be until November, which means there's a good chance that the War Within won't be until December. Let's call it what it is. It could be December, could even be January. It's not. I can't see it dropping in November, especially if they're going to drop the Index event in November. So you're talking end of December or somewhere around December for the actual War Within. And my biggest concern is that everyone will complete the quest and this epic storyline quest within the first day. Then what?
Yeah.
Then we're right back square one where we've been for the last 11 months, doing the same missions, leveling the same fucking weapons, killing the same enemies over and over. Like, where the fuck are the sentients? Like, we got this big cutscene about all this army of sentients coming, and 2 of them show up on the moon every so often that must have been left behind or whatever, and you get to kill them, and that's it. Like, I just feel like it's going to get to the point after the War Within very quickly, once people have completed the quest, that we're going to be right back at where we are right now. People getting pissed off doing the same thing over and over. So I hope they've got something else. I know they've said that they're talking about bringing back Endless, and I think removing the Endless missions from... And I worded that wrong. I can't say they removed Endless, because Endless is still there. You can still do Endless. There's nothing stopping you. You just won't get fuck all for doing it. So you can still do Endless, but you don't really get the rewards, and I think maybe removing that was a mistake. So they said that they're going to try and bring back Endless. They're also going to try and bring back or bring in new endgame missions for veterans and for players that aren't mastery rank 1, 2, or 3 for us to do, and hopefully that'll come in sometime around the War Within as well. So it'll give us a good few months of actual new stuff to do, and not just for it to be finished within a week and for us to be going, right, when's the next update? Okay, not 11 months. See you then.
Yeah, I think the one other thing I would like to just mention about it, since it kind of ties in with this topic, is this is something which has been a concern for me with regards to Warframe for, I guess, ever since we got the update for, which one was it? Was it Movement 2.0 or was it the one before that? I can't remember which update it was. My concern for Warframe had become that Steve, Scott, and a few of the other developers, not few, pretty much the developers for Warframe have these aspirations, these ideas, and they've got this scope for Warframe, and they want to do a lot of things with this. And, I, as a developer, I completely understand that sentiment, because when you have a game which is doing so well, and you have a passion for something, you want to keep creating content, right? My biggest concern is that I think somewhere along the lines, they may have kind of overscoped. Like, they know what they want to do, but they don't have the scope. They don't have the time frame to meet that scope. Like, look at case in point, this update. It was scheduled for July. It's been split up, 5-6 times, and it's still the main quest, which was supposed to be the highlight, is still not out. I think they might need to reevaluate how they look at the scope of their updates, how they look at releasing the updates as well, and how they decide to systematically, hype up the content as well. Hyping up for something which doesn't come after, a year, is insane, because that's basically setting yourself up to failure, like Headshot said earlier on. Now imagine all these people, as you guys keep saying, we go in, we do this quest, we do this thing on the stream, or you put it on YouTube or whatever. That's it. That's the quest done. What else is there to actually hold our attention? There is nothing to hold our attention, and that's obviously an issue as well. So outside of this quest, while I'm hyped for it, I'm looking forward to the quest. I think the question which DE needs to be asking themselves after this quest is done is what content can we create which holds the attention of the veteran community and people who are getting to that stage, and keeps knows and basically kind of think about how they can keep it fun as well at the same time. Like, it's like, I'm gonna finish this quest off, and that's it. That's gonna be me done. I'm probably gonna end up playing it on stream. I know you guys will do the same thing, like put it on YouTube or whatever. Well, what do you do after that? Do you go back to farming ducats? I mean, why do I need to farm ducats? I'm sitting on like 15k. I'm sure you guys have stacked up all the stuff as well. So that's the next step for Warframe, which I think they need to think about now. And when it comes to building the next updates after the War Within, they need to seriously think about how they're gonna, make it like a step-by-step thing. Whether they have to take a smaller step, I don't mind if they want to split up updates and then make them small, but they need to be consistent with that stuff, which keeps the attention. Warframe is a game where the biggest, Warframe, basically, most of the advertising comes from content creators. If content creators are starved for content, there's not going to be any advertising, which means you're not drawing the attention of more people to play the game. And, that's how the game starts stagnating, and that's how financial issues start coming into play. And, and it's basically a downhill avalanche from there. And I'm sure DE completely understands this as well, but it's something which needs to be reiterated sometimes, because maybe being able to hear this, I hopefully they watch this podcast, if being able to, hear this and understand this is coming from, their content creators and from the community itself, will probably be something which be like, holy shit, I think I might need to reconsider how we're actually going about with this update, because obviously people are having issues and it needs to be, looked at and needs to be dealt with accordingly. Now, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, the problem is they've also got content that they just end up sitting on. There's so many different bits and pieces that could be done during the times where there are no updates. Like, even if it's just tiny little thing. Since I think the Acolytes was January, the event? They've been back once?
Yeah.
When was the last time we had a Fomorian attack anything? Why are those not more regular? Like, I know it's not a lot, but it's something to get people logging in and doing a little bit of again. If people missed out on Maiming Strike, for example, I did my Melee video a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, little plug there, sorry. But, like, a lot of people were saying, I don't have Maiming Strike. Why are the Acolytes not coming back more often? There's content that is done, is ready, is in the game, and just gets sat on. Like, nobody does anything with it. Like, I don't question the passion and, like you say, the scope. I think the scope is actually a little too narrow, almost. Which I know sounds a bit weird and a bit counterproductive, but they are so focused on the War Within and new content, they haven't looked at what they already have and what they could implement into the game to actually get people doing bits and pieces in the game again. That's something that they don't get very often.
Okay, so here's a question for you guys. What would you consider endgame, or what would you consider that would keep your attention coming back to the game? The reason I ask this is because I've had this question, I've had this statement said to me a few times that new weapons are not endgame, not content. You've got all this kind of stuff. What would you actually consider endgame, or something which will hold your attention to keep playing Warframe? Because I know a lot of people don't do raids. A lot of people don't do PvP. It's a very small percentage. I'm pretty sure, even DE knows this, and they can actually see, the stats if they were to pull the statistics, etc. A lot of us veterans don't even do, sorties. I know I didn't touch sorties after the first week it came out because they kept putting in weapons which I already have, so I've got no incentive to be farming for them. And I'm sure there are many others who have the same, thing itself. So... honest question, what would you consider? Sorry, go on.
Like, the sortie rewards need looking at. Like, I think we've spoken about this before. Like, the fact that you need almost a year's worth of sorties to get a single to get like all of your greater lenses. Like it's just it doesn't, like you do your sorties, you go through that. You might have some dumb team that decides to die 400 times on the final stage, and you get to the end of it, and yay, a single lens. And like, there's no, I don't know. You've got to have that oomph at the end of it. You've got to have something that people want to play for.
I always get
And
excited
a
when I get a
single-
lens, though.
You do?
God damn it, headshot!
Like, what?
Oh my god!
My God.
Put arcanes in it. Why don't
Yeah,
you put
no, they
arcanes in
should.
it? You know, do something like that. Put something that players actually want. Put Prime Chamber in it. You know, who gives
Hell
a
yeah.
fuck? You know, give
I
give rewards that players actually want and players that actually do sorties for, instead of the fluff pieces they have in it now.
Okay, so here's an idea I want to run by you guys. When I played DC Universe, one of the biggest things which you had was you'd had stat gears, and then you'd had also stuff which is tied to feats. Feat points are basically more skill points and all that kind of stuff for, you know, making yourself more powerful. Now, when you complete a gear style by, like, whether it's like a Deathstroke inspired theme or a Batman inspired theme, when you complete that, you get a certain amount of feat points. Now, that could be done by either, you know, doing raids and then collecting enough points to buy the style separately, or, you know, getting pieces of armor which have that style itself and equipping that to unlock the style and, you know, getting closer to achieving those things. Would an achievement system like that have something kind of more of an incentive? So say, for example, in the sortie system, as opposed to having yet another weapon, maybe you've got a cosmetic which comes in like 2 or 3 parts, but actually, you know, thinking about it, it might not be a good idea considering that we already have that system here itself. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about it. Like, you know, give people incentive to play. If
What about
Sorry.
in like defense missions? What about like having? I think Flynn mentioned like an arena mode there. What about having something like that where after a certain amount of time in the arena, whether it's after 5 waves or whether it's after 5 minutes or something like that, a boss comes in, and like Max said earlier, a boss that doesn't have an invulnerability stage, and a boss that, whether he's a bullet sponge or whatever, I don't give a fuck. Something that you can just wail on, have a bit of fun with guys in your squad. Then when that boss is done, move on, and different types of enemies come out for the next few waves or the next 5 minutes or whatever, and then another boss or another mini boss or. Do you know the way when you were playing Shadow Warrior 2, you have enemies that have certain they're either immune to
Prefixes.
toxin damage or,
Yes.
or they're this more powerful or they deal electric damage or whatever. Put those types of enemies in on a certain wave. Make them like elite enemies or something like that, that you know you have to focus those enemies down first before you go and you work on the other guys, and then so on. So as a kind of so you can see how far you can get and make the rewards in it worthwhile. Like after every boss fight you get, whether to take lenses out of sorties and stick them into that, or put something else into that, like rare mods or fusion cores, or not fusion cores, large chunks of endo and stuff like that. Something that literally make you could jump into your clan and you go, okay, I'm about to do this in the arena, looking for 3 people who wants to join. We're going to be aiming for 14 minutes and we're going to see what we can get and what kind of boss we can get, and then they jump in and you all jump on comms and it's a bit of fun, you know, instead of I guess what we have now, which is literally just jump into survival missions and you have to run for like an hour solid before you can get on some missions anyway. You can have to run like an hour solid before it becomes kind of hectic and chaotic, which a lot of people don't have an hour to put into that style of a mission. They've got real life, they've got shit to do, so it'd be nice to have a mission that you know, right, this is starting off at that level already, so let's all just jump in and have a laugh. So I don't know.
Can I just point out one thing? With regards to what you just said, they did mention this idea about, you know, clan-specific missions that you can make as a warlord. Maybe this might be a step into the direction of what you're talking about, where the clan members can, or warlords can set it
made
up.
by your clan warlord. And
Yeah.
how many times a week is he going to be allowed to make that mission? There's going to
Yeah.
be, it's not going to be all positive.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be negative. They don't do just positive. There's going to be negative. So it might be
Plus-
like you're able to create 1 mission a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll
they're
be it.
also looking at it because the fact that could be very easily abused. Like, stick
Yeah,
400
exactly.
400 manics in there, and you'll just farm 4 riders, I think it is, for days. And like, so they're considering like that it might not have any mods, or you might not get affinity.
Yeah.
So what's the point of doing it?
What's the point?
Yeah.
See,
Why don't they
one-
just add another fucking planet or another few? If you bring back the what you call it, the rails, do something that's worthwhile doing.
They could
New-
add a
new Game Plus.
new. They could add a new system, call it Andromeda, and
I-
give biotic powers as well. Oh wait, that's Mass Effect.
I kind of want a new Game Plus, where because Sedna is the highest planet right now.
Yeah.
So you do this new Game Plus, and I think you start on Earth now, so Earth becomes the same level as Sedna, and it scales up the same way as it does now.
main thing, I know Warframes FPS, but they should really be looking at other games. Like they've taken inspiration from other games. Why not do this to the games that have
Being successful.
I mean, yeah, like they don't really have that much content. Take Diablo 3 for example. We have seasons, New Game Plus seasons. That would work. I would enjoy that actually, because like half the fun that I can even find in Warframe right now is making a new account and grinding all the things again. Like that's something we can do as veterans.
That's not
it's-
fun.
Yeah, I mean it's something to do just to kill time, but they should really look at MMOs. Like how do they expand the lifestyle? How do they add content in? Recently I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, and they have Palace of the Dead. It's kind of like a dungeon crawler. You hop in there. It doesn't matter if you got damage, healers, tanks. You just go in there and you level up quickly. The mobs are randomly assigned. You get items to drop in. It's a pretty fun dungeon crawler. Stuff like that. Like they need to look at other games that have been successful in prolonging their life, even though in between content and things like that. Because what we have right now, sorties, I don't even consider that end game content. It's easy. It's just how it is. It's CC Fest. The raids we have now, CC Fest. We need
guess-
bosses
Stand on
win.
buttons. Stand on buttons.
I guess
We need
this
to
kind of
make
always
that
comes back to the same idea, like Pokey said in chat. It's a lot of stuff is kind of held back by, I guess, balance as well, and the kind of modding system that we have as well. Which I know every conversation we have always kind of leads to the same point, which is balance and reworking damage and re-looking at balance of enemies, changing how cheesy enemies exist, this and that. But that's a topic we already know about, and we've rehashed this so many times. I don't want to talk about that. Like I'd rather talk about something which is a bit more different, possibly give different ideas to bring up, because I'm sure we all know, everyone who's played Warframe at this point knows balance is a major issue for Warframe right now. You either are at a stage where you're one-shotting everything or everything's one-shotting you. There isn't actual true balance where, or rather where that exists, it's a very short period of time. So, obviously they say that they're going to work on Damage 3.0, and I guess we'll see that whenever that comes out. But yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to suggest ideas. You know what I mean, Pokey? You know what I mean. But it's kind of hard to suggest ideas when we, as content creators and players, more importantly, don't know what's going to change in the future. We don't know how the damage is going to change. We're not going to know how the enemy scaling is going to change. And maybe DE doesn't even know itself either. So, I don't know.
One thing I will say to improve the lifeblood of the game is exclusive stuff. You get this from missions, all these events. Yeah, we have those, but at the same time, like we get often, weapons, we get new mods, we get all this, but we just get them from the store, and the events we get are, Rathum 2.0. It's not exactly new. It's not exactly something we want to do. It's not something we enjoy doing over and over again, which is why they really need to work on how they do the bosses, at least. That way you can put stuff behind that. You can get weapon parts, you can all the new weapons, plus you could actually make the weapons stronger than instead of something you use and just toss in the bin. Something like that would help the game, I think. And it would be an easier step than what I've suggested earlier.
Ooh, you know what I've just thought off the top of my head? Imagine if Warframe had a gun game mode. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. You play a survival every 5 minutes based on your inventory. If you've got all the weapons maxed out, you go through the entire list. And it's going to be randomized. So you won't get a hind at low levels. You have a chance of getting a hind at a very high level. Just to kind of mess with you at that point. You know how much fun that would be?
That would be
It
fun.
would be a
That
nice
would be
kind of
fun.
multiplayer to add onto a mission. But the thing is, who was it? I think I seen someone mention it in the chat there a minute ago. Fuck, it's gone.
Yeah.
Fucking gone.
And it's gone.
Oh, it's about the new event. It's about the event. It's like these events way back when the events first started being being introduced into the game, they were a reason for players to jump back into the game who hadn't maybe played it for a few days, to be like, oh, there's an event on and there's an exclusive weapon going to be in this event, or there's an exclusive item going to be in that event, and I really want to get that, so I'm going to just grind out this event to get it done. Whereas now, I think pretty much everyone who plays the game realizes that there's no such thing as exclusive in the game anymore, that all of these things eventually make their way back into the game. So maybe the fact that they've removed that whole exclusivity of stuff is kind of stopping players from jumping back in, because a lot of people will be thinking, yeah, but I could just get it again in a sortie or in another event in a few months. So maybe having items that are actually exclusive to said events would give people a reason to actually jump on and play the event. Like this event at the minute, what's the item you get? A sigil.
A sigil, yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's going to use that sigil? Who
You
in
get
chat?
an
Who in
Exodus
chat
adapter
right now?
too.
Who in chat is going to use? I get them fucking gifted to me. I don't need that shit.
Okay, here's the thing
Who
though.
in chat right now is going to fucking? Who in chat right now is going to use that sigil? Any of you guys actually going to wear the sigil from the event?
We have 400 sigils and 2 slots.
I have a Templar cross for my clan emblem. I'm not gonna change that shit. I want to look like a Templar.
I want to be able to equip all of my sigils in one go.
Yes. Just layer them one on top of each other like a god, something like that. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Okay, so I had another question which I completely forgot. Jesus Christ, man! I need my Alzheimer medication. Fuck.
You're getting old, Frozen.
Shut up! Don't start. I will fight you. But here's the thing. Like, I know we've given a little bit of criticism for Warframe, and we're coming up with ideas, and obviously reading some of the stuff in the chat itself. At the same time, I will have to keep, I will have to say it again. It's just 1 second, guys.
Forgot where he was.
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
He's gonna say 1 second. That was his entire point, was just to say 1 second.
Yeah, now he's gone. He's going to leave us sitting here for the next hour.
Yep. It's the end.
Yep.
He's probably born in his curry sandwich or something.
Oh man, don't talk about food. I'm starving.
Yeah, I saw Flynn mention about Damage 3.0 and saying they've been saying that for a while. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is
saying a lot of
actually.
stuff for a while.
I spoke with Steve personally at Tenno VOP in Birmingham, and it was one of the things that did come up in the conversation, and it is one of the very high priority things to do after the War Within, as well as veteran style content. Was
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Hold
which
on,
is
right?
pretty
It
much
took
what
them-
he was saying.
It took them nearly a full year to do one cinematic quest. That's just one cinematic quest.
Yeah.
How many other games can? There's studios that can develop whole games in that timeline.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well-
if they're going to be doing Damage 3.0, how long is it going to take them?
I keep saying one thing. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Compartmentalizing it. Compartmentalizing everything. They need to start doing that. They know that they've already seen how long it took them for releasing this update. So again, they need to relook at how they do their scope. They need to relook at what they consider as high priority and how long it'll actually take to knock it out, and how, to testing and all that kind of stuff. And they have to basically make updates come out on a month or, 1.5 months at most, as it used to be before. They can't do the delays like they keep doing right now, because Warframe is not the type of game that can survive on that. On the topic of, so many different mechanics that Warframe already has that have been wasted or not being used. Let's bring up the topic about the new weapon that just came out, by the way. So a lot of people may not already have this weapon, but some people do, like as content creators, etc., and some people who bought it for platinum. It has a unique effect where when you do a charge attack, it fires off like an Exalted Blade style wave, which does slash and corrosive damage, and it creates like the Swarm Mutilist, Tar Mutilist tar pits, basically. Anything that steps into it gets, affected by a corrosive proc, etc. Problem. It is based on your charge attack, and charge attacks are slower than Forrest Gump. It is the most useless thing for me because it takes so long. I'm not talking about running, I'm talking about his mental thing.
Yeah, why Forrest Gump? Why'd you gotta pick on him?
Wow.
I could pick on other people, but I don't want it. Just roll with
Just 'cause
it.
he's
Anyway, he's very special, but I still like watching his movie. Anyway, it's a very slow charge attack, and by the time it takes me to do the charge attack, I would have killed everything by just doing the combo counter. Again, we've got a channeling, aspect, a channeling mechanic we don't make use of it. There is no weapon that actually makes use of it. Why not? There are so many different mechanics that we can actually make use of, and we don't do any of that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that this kind of stuff will be addressed after, the actual war within itself, and see how it goes from there itself. But it is obviously, there are a lot of things that exist in Warframe right now that really do need to be relooked at itself. But anyway, before I kind of had to take a quick AFK thing, as I was saying, despite everything we've said, it's not meant out of hate. We're not ranting, we're not complaining about Warframe. It's more about telling them that we love your game, we would like to play it, we'd like to cover it, but there are some things which need to be looked at, and some things need to be looked at as a priority now. I know you know the problems, but come on guys, get on with it now. It's basically one of those things. DE are definitely passionate about the game. I saw that when I saw them in at Tenno VIP, I could see that passion flow through them. And I know that it's not one of those things that they're not going to be like certain other developers who have had the misfortune of playing their games where they're just in for the money and then that's it. It's not like that. So I can definitely see it. So it's just a matter of, actually them getting out and getting on with things which need to be done, etc. But from the perspective of a content creator and a player, I'm kind of, getting to the point where I'm considering, why am I still playing Warframe when there's nothing for me to do? And it takes a lot to me to be like that because, I'm a very patient person as well. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sure everyone else feels...
Cause...
Sorry, say that again, mate?
I was going to say, I just want to reiterate what you said. Like, at Tenno VIP, you could tell that this Warframe was their baby. I mean, you could tell this is what they want to do. It's not just a money grab like some AAA titles are. And you could tell that they don't like the situation we're in at the moment. And unfortunately, we are in that situation and they can't really get themselves out of it. Like, I do have sympathy. Not really sympathy. Sympathy is kind of the wrong thing to say because, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to have dug yourself into that hole. Yeah, I understand that sort of thing, but it's like Frozen said, we just need to get on with it now. We can't keep going on like this. Like the community is in the process of just fighting each other. Like the joke is the war within the community, and it has become that because everyone's just getting all pissy at each other. There's people trying to create drama between each other, like just for the sake of it, because they're getting frustrated with all the situation. This is why the carrier thing blew up.
That's a good idea. Let's cause drama. I need them views. Let's cause drama. Yeah, fuck you.
This is wow. I see how it is.
I'm making a video right now.
That's fine.
Fuck that headshot guy. That's basically what it's turning into at the minute. And in the comment section of nearly every one of my videos is people saying fuck this game and the game's dying, and a lot of it is just overreacting, or people that are just in a really bad bloody mood when they write the comment, or people really fed up that there's no actual update hitting yet, and I guess it's kind of having a knock-on effect. And there are those people on the forums that will tell you, everything's fine, the game's grand, I don't know what you're all complaining about, stop overreacting. But quite frankly, those guys can fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, Klaus said in the chat that the word I was looking for was empathy. Yes, that is exactly the word I was looking for. But to be honest, this is why the carrier thing blew up as much as it did. Yeah, nobody liked the changes, but because everyone's frustrated already, it just spiraled out of control really quickly. Because everyone was already pissed off. So this change was something that just sent everyone over the edge.